my suggestion on how I do this is I separate out prospecting. I'm very particular, and whenever I train people on this, I'm very particular with my prospecting. I think that is everything. It's like getting good at the skill of knowing what quality is what creates good networking opportunity. It's just part of the process. Like if you're building a network and you're being thoughtful about trying to drive revenue, being really understanding who you're going after and why, and then being like intentional with updating that every week or so based off the feedback you're getting from the market is the job. Like it's that's what drives results. So it gives me flexibility where if I start reaching out to 10 of these people and I change my mind for a variety of reasons, which often happens when you don't necessarily have the context, hey, maybe I should have done benefit brokers not in a particular area or something, particular discipline, right? Not financial services, let's just say. Because I see someone on the list here. He's nice. A broker. He's a financial services broker. So maybe I don't want financial services because I'm in HR. I'm trying to do HR tech. So I don't know. Maybe I decide, hey, I'm looking at this. I'm scanning it. This is perfect. Benefits specialist. This is perfect. Benefits broker. This is broker for financial services. It's not necessarily HR. Maybe this isn't the best type of client. Benefits manager. So maybe I want to do not. This is where Boolean searching comes in. You could exclude certain keywords, and now I'm down to 10. So now all of a sudden, well, that's only 1 week's worth of no problem. Why don't we add back in New York? Or you know what? Why don't, because New York. So now we're up to 18. What if we just did North America at that point, right? Now we're at 101. I'm cool with that. I could go through 100 people, especially considering that this might be, if they're all good, or, could be a couple months worth of work. So now what I like to do is I create lists. So you could save people directly here to a new list. So you could call it, let's say, new leads list. Describe it. This is for office hours examples.
Rachel, bro.
Okay, so now I save her to, she's already on the leads list. Now I can save senior relationship manager, client experience. Now, now you got to start looking at profiles. But my suggestion on how I do this is I separate out prospecting. I'm very particular, and whenever I train people on this, I'm very particular with my prospecting. I think that is everything, in my opinion. It's like getting good at the skill of knowing what quality is what creates good networking opportunity. Again, that's why I got away from automation, because this is just part of the process. Like if you're building a network and you're being thoughtful about trying to drive revenue, being really understanding who you're going after and why, and then being like intentional with updating that every week or so based off the feedback you're getting from the market is the job. Like that's what drives results. Do you want to reach out, for example, to CEOs or senior relationship managers? So like those are different types of roles. So depending on, for example, for my client, they both would be A or B prospects, but the CEO of a company is probably going to yield revenue quicker than a manager at a company who might not have the decision-making authority, right? So thinking through, how do you make sure that, let's say the current job title is maybe CEO or the function matters, like getting even more granular, or the seniority. You don't want entry level owner, partner, right? So you're talking to an owner of a company. Now there's
industry as well, which is right below geography.
Look, that's why there's so many options here. That's why I actually think the skill set of getting good at this, if you're an SDR or founder, is worth it because you really learn a lot. Like the way I always viewed it was I'm investing in getting better at understanding my customer profiles and my targeting and being more thoughtful and intentional about who I'm reaching out to and not just using automatic spray and pray like behavior. I'm using this as like a context gathering machine to be able to be very intentional with who I think would be an ideal customer and then get pretty good at clicking in and reading their profiles. So, you know, how do I separate the way I think about this is how do I separate out the workflow of prospecting and networking? So this to me is more advanced. Like I understand not everybody cares a lot to do all this work, but when I would do this, I would do separate prospecting. Like I would play with, I would create lead lists on Sales Navigator. And so that way every day or when I am reaching out for my tasks throughout the week, what I'm doing is I'm just going to my lead list. I'm not trying to do this in real time. That's kind of the main feedback that I would say is you are literally creating lead lists. And as you create lead lists, LinkedIn will give you system generated lead lists. So these are recommended leads based off of my other lead list. So LinkedIn learns and then delivers just like it does on free LinkedIn, where you have, if you go to somebody's profile and you have more profiles for you, they're doing the same thing. I just literally giving you, here's 100.
Organizing it for you.
Yeah. So do you even see these are recommended leads that now that you kind of understand the criteria, you could kind of see what a future version of this is for like workflow. I have 100 leads, 60 posted in the last 30 days, 39 share experiences with me. And look, all of them are CEOs or managing partners. So, and they're all consultants. As you use Sales Navigator, it's a big upfront hurdle to understand what you're looking for. But once you understand what you're looking for, which is kind of the goal of business, to do something repetitive and scalable, then the question becomes, it's a dollar and cents thing. When you say, is it worth it? It's like, well, then you have an anchoring of, you got to make $1,200 of deals over a year. That's, you know, if you can't hit that threshold or you don't think that threshold, then no, I would not pay for this. I would start with free LinkedIn. But at a certain point for time management, if you do want to reach out to 30 people a week, or like, you know, be more intentional, like you can't sit and always sit and at a certain point, like it's hard to hit those numbers. But with here, we can kind of be a little bit more intentional and thoughtful.
Nice. Hey,
cool.
This is nice.
Well,
crispy stuff.
I think that the key takeaway is that you got to figure out what works for you and then combine Sales Navigator with content engagement for deep targeting. Yeah. You can use both free and paid tools to try to do outreach to create inbound for yourself. That's kind of the end goal of what you're trying to get to on how you're sourcing leads through LinkedIn. With that being said, depending on where you're at in your process, like we talked about at the beginning, I think it's really important to start with optimizing for inbound. Because if you start with just reaching out and connecting with people, what's going to happen is you're going to then you might get results, you might get engagement, but you have to at the end of the day to drive revenue, right? Because that's what we talked about. We want to drive revenue, we want to make money through LinkedIn. To do that, you have to have a sales process. You have to understand how to somewhat reliably transition a lead off of LinkedIn into a sales process, which is a different thing that we're not talking about today. If you start with not knowing if you're not prepared for that inbound of knowing that, hey, if I get 10 leads, I can realistically convert one of them, two of them, into a sales process, whatever that is, a networking call, an email newsletter, whatever that is, to kind of like get them on a call and, have a relationship building exercise. If you're not ready for that, more is not better. Quality is better. Quality of knowing who you target, quality and knowing how you open a conversation, and quality over how you know how to like transition them into some like process that allows you to get to know them, and then eventually at the right time pitch a collaborative opportunity to like partner. So it's quality becomes everything at that point, and not quantity.
Not quantity.
You think the wrong way because you're thinking about, if I just keep doing this, eventually something will happen. And that's not how business works. Something will not just, there's no magic spark. It's just getting better and better and better at doing the mechanics, and then time management on how do you kind of make it so this doesn't become as much of a chore.
Yeah.
You want to start with quality before you get quantity.
Yeah,
You need
absolutely.
your reps. You need like confidence in knowing what you're selling and who you're selling it to and why, to justify the quantity. But once you get the quality, like, through free LinkedIn, you can increase the quantity very easily through the sourcing capability of Sales Navigator. And then, yeah, maybe in time, there's ways to kind of like think about how do you have quality with quantity. Sure. But depending on where people are at in the process, I think that they're doing a disservice to themselves by focusing on quantity before they really understand what quality means for their business.
Yeah, yeah. This has been very insightful, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these screen sharing activities, especially looking at the Pursue networking software, which I think is a game changer for tracking those quality leads.